The impossible blueprint. In the cold silence of deep space. Legends were rare, but one story refused to die. It was the story of an ancient blueprint. A design so advanced that every alien scientist who studied it called it madness. The blueprint showed a ship that could travel faster than light, bend reality, and use energy in ways that broke every law of physics. The Galactic Council had locked the design away centuries ago, calling it the dream that should never be built. Across the galaxy, civilizations laughed whenever someone mentioned it. They said no species could create such a thing. No alloy could survive its energy output. No reactor could power its engines, and no mind could control its systems. To even try was suicide. The blueprint became a myth. A warning to dreamers. A tale told to young cadets about the price of ambition. But far away, beyond the Council's reach, on a small blue planet called Earth, humans never heard that warning. They had their own legends, their own hunger to reach the stars. Humanity was a death world species, born on a violent planet where storms, fire, and ice taught them to adapt or die, and where others saw danger, humans saw challenge. In a hidden shipyard orbiting Mars, a group of Terran engineers stared at the holographic image of the forbidden design. It floated before them like a ghost, the impossible warship, sleek and beautiful, glowing with lines of unknown energy. Commander Ryan Holt stood in the center of the room, his hands folded behind his back. His eyes reflected the golden light of the projection. "They said it can't exist," he whispered. "So we will build it." The room fell silent. Engineers exchanged nervous glances. One of them, a young woman named Dr. Ayla Chen, spoke softly. "Sir, the Council called it unstable. The calculations could destroy entire systems." Ryan smiled faintly. "Then we'll build it where no one can stop us." For years, humanity had worked in secret, hiding their progress from the rest of the galaxy. They learned from every battle, every failure, and every loss. The Terran fleet was smaller than most alien empires, but its ships were built from experience, forged in survival. The new ship, codenamed Vanguard, would not just be another vessel. It would be humanity's message to the stars. The construction began inside the shadow of Mars, shielded by asteroid debris and artificial storms. Thousands of drones moved like ants, welding impossible materials, layering armor that shimmered between light and shadow. The Vanguard's hull absorbed radiation, light, and even sensor signals, making it invisible to scanners every night. Ryan walked through the massive half-built frame of the ship, listening to the hum of energy coursing through its heart. The reactor inside was not ordinary. It was something new, something terrifying. A fusion of Terran engineering and a mysterious artifact found deep under the surface of Mars. A sphere that pulsed like a heartbeat. No one could explain what it was. They only knew it responded to human touch. When the reactor activated for the first time, the entire station shook, gravity shifted, lights flickered, and the hull began to glow with a strange blue shimmer. Drones froze in midair and the artifact pulsed faster. The engineers panicked. "It's going to blow," Ayla screamed. But Ryan stood still, watching as the energy stabilized. "No," he said, his voice calm. "It's alive." Word of the secret project leaked into the void. Rumors spread across black markets. Alien spies whispered that humans were building a ship that should not exist. The Council dismissed it as nonsense. "Humans can barely maintain jump drives," one ambassador laughed. "They are reckless creatures, nothing more." Yet, something about the silence of the Terran sectors began to worry the galaxy. No signals, no reports, no broadcast, only static. Then one day, without warning, every major sensor array in the Council's outer rim picked up an anomaly. A ripple in space, like reality itself had been disturbed. In the observation chambers of the galactic core, holograms showed a single dot moving faster than any known drive. "Impossible," one scientist whispered. "That speed breaks quantum limits." The dot grew closer, brighter, and then vanished moments later. Long-range satellites across 3 systems went dark. All that remained was a single coded message that repeated endlessly in every known frequency. "This is the TSS Vanguard of Earth Command." Panic spread like wildfire. Armies scrambled, fleets mobilized, and leaders demanded answers. Who gave the Death Worlders the power to bend space? What was this Vanguard? And how had humanity achieved what even the greatest empires failed to do? In the Terran shipyard, Ryan Holt watched the ship hover silently before him. Fully constructed now, its black hull shimmered like a living shadow, The artifact at its core pulsed softly as if breathing. They said no ship could exist like this, he whispered to himself. And yet here she is. Behind him, Ayla smiled weakly. Commander, what will you tell the Council when they see this? Rian turned to face her, his eyes cold and proud. I'll tell them the truth, he said. That humanity doesn't ask permission to make history. And as the Vanguard powered up for the first time, its engines didn't roar, they sang. The stars outside bent slightly, space rippled, and the impossible became real. The ship that should never exist was born, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The fear spreads the message from the Human Warship echoed across the galaxy, repeating on every channel. This is the TSS Vanguard of Earth Command. Those words froze every empire, every council, and every admiral who heard them. No one had expected such arrogance. No one had believed humanity could build anything beyond primitive war cruisers. Yet here it was, a ship that broke every known law of science. The Galactic Council met in panic. The great chamber filled with noise as alien delegates shouted over one another. Holograms of the mysterious human warship flickered on every wall. Some wanted to destroy it, some wanted to capture it, and others whispered that it was already too late. If the humans have truly built this vessel, said the Chancellor of the Valkar Dominion, then they have become a threat to every world. But others disagreed. It could be a lie, hissed a scaled creature from the Zin Collective. A trick to make us fear them. Yet deep down everyone felt the same cold truth. The signal wasn't fake, the readings were real. Something massive was moving between the stars, and its energy signature didn't match any known technology. Across the border worlds, fear began to spread like wildfire. Merchant ships vanished without a trace. Entire sectors went dark, and sensor drones returned only static. Aliens whispered about a black ship that appeared and disappeared in an instant. Some said it was the ghost of a dying world. Others said it was a weapon made by the humans to punish the galaxy for mocking them. In the quiet of the Terran command chamber, Commander Ryan Holt stood before a large hollow display of the galactic map, red dots flickering across it, showing where human fleets were moving. They've noticed us, he said softly. Dr. Ayla Chen stood beside him. Good, she replied. Let them know what fear feels like. Humanity had not declared war. They hadn't made demands, they simply appeared. And that was enough to shake the balance of power across 1,000 systems. The Vanguard didn't speak again after its first message, but its presence was felt everywhere. Sensors picked up its signature near forbidden zones, ancient ruins, and even near council space. But every time fleets were sent to intercept, they found nothing. Alien analysts worked day and night trying to understand, how could a Deathworld species, born from chaos, build something that defied logic? Some said the humans must have stolen forbidden technology. Others believed they had help from the old ones, the vanished civilizations that once ruled the stars. In a hidden station orbiting the world of Zira Prime, a secret meeting was held. A group of spies and scientists studied the data collected on the Vanguard. One of them, an old alien with 6 golden eyes, leaned forward and said, We've seen this before. The others turned toward him in shock. What do you mean? The old one whispered. 1,000 cycles ago, there was a prophecy, a weapon forged by the youngest race, a ship that would break the stars themselves. The room fell silent, for no one wanted to believe that the humans had become the prophecy made real. Meanwhile, inside the Vanguard, Ryan walked through the long metallic corridors. The ship hummed softly, alive and calm. Its crew worked silently, disciplined and focused. There was no arrogance, no celebration, only purpose. Do you think they're afraid of us now? Ayla asked quietly. Ryan smiled. They should be. As days passed, alien governments began sending envoys toward Earth, begging for information. Asking for peace, the humans said nothing. They ignored transmissions. No one was sure if the Vanguard even received them. Some thought it was broken, others thought it was waiting. Then one day, without warning, a massive explosion tore through the Varn system, home to one of the Council's largest research fleets. Dozens of warships were destroyed, leaving only fragments behind. The Council blamed humanity, but there was no proof. Only a single transmission was found in the debris. It contained a faint human voice whispering, "Do not follow." The message caused uproar. Fleets were mobilized, probes were launched, and billions demanded to know what the humans wanted. But in the chaos, something strange happened. The attacks stopped. Pirate raids ended. Even old rivalries between alien species slowed down, because everyone was watching the same point in the sky. The last known location of the Vanguard, far beyond the edge of the galaxy, the human ship drifted silently in the dark. Its hull shimmered with strange lights, reflecting stars that weren't there. Inside, the artifact in its core pulsed brighter than ever, sending waves of energy through space. "It's evolving," Ayla whispered. "The reactor's learning." Ryan nodded. "And the galaxy is watching." Back in the council chamber, silence replaced shouting. Reports from scouts showed that the humans were not building an army, not conquering planets. They were building something else. "They're changing the rules," one admiral said in fear. "They're building the future." No one could sleep across the stars. Every leader knew that if humanity had reached beyond the impossible once, they could do it again. And in every dark corner of the galaxy, one whisper spread like a storm. "The Deathworlders have returned." The arrival of the Vanguard. The galaxy held its breath. For weeks, no one had seen the human ship. No new signals, no strange readings, just silence. The fear that once filled the stars began to twist into curiosity. Some dared to believe it was gone, that maybe the Deathworlders had retreated. But deep down, everyone knew the truth. Humans never vanish without a reason. Then, without warning, the void screamed. Space itself rippled like water, and every sensor within 100 light-years went blind. In orbit around the neutral world of Tarion Prime, alien fleets waited. Thousands of ships from different empires armed and ready. They had gathered to confront whatever came next. The commanders whispered among themselves, "If the humans appear here, we end this today." And then it came. The stars dimmed, the light bent, and the Vanguard emerged. Its hull shimmered black and silver, alive with moving patterns of light. It made no sound, no transmission, yet every alien felt its presence. Like a deep vibration inside their bones, the Human Warship floated calmly in front of the massive fleet, silent and still, like a predator studying its prey. "Contact it," ordered Admiral Ricard of the Valen Empire. His voice trembled as he spoke. "Tell them to stand down." The communications officer nodded. "Open channel." A signal was sent, but the Vanguard did not respond. Instead, a faint hum echoed through the void, low and deep. Then, slowly, the ship's surface began to glow, forming symbols no one could translate. Across the fleet, scanners went wild, every system overloaded, ships began losing power. "It's jamming us," shouted an officer. "No, it's rewriting our systems," screamed another. In seconds, half the alien fleet went dark, their engines dead, their weapons frozen. And then a voice came through, clear and calm. "This is Commander Ryan Holt of Earth Command," he said. "We come in peace, but if you fire upon us, we will not miss." The word spread across every channel, every ship and every home watching the live transmission. Billions heard the voice of a human speaking with calm power. Some aliens mocked it as arrogance. Others trembled in silence. Admiral Ricard laughed bitterly. "You threaten us, Deathworlder," he hissed. "We have more ships than there are humans in your system." Ryan's voice stayed calm. "Then you should have brought more." Before Ricard could respond, the Vanguard vanished. Not moved. Vanished. It reappeared behind the alien armada, its engines glowing like suns. The ships turned desperately, weapons locked. But before any could fire, their targeting systems melted, their reactors shut down, one by one. In the control room of the council, panic spread. "It's impossible," screamed a scientist. "They are bending quantum space itself." Another whispered, "They're not fighting with weapons, they're rewriting physics." In orbit, the fleet hung helpless, powerless before a single ship. Then the Vanguard broadcast a single message: "Stand down and live, resist and vanish." No one moved. For the first time in history, the great empires of the galaxy stood still, watching as the Deathworlders displayed control over power beyond understanding. The ship didn't fire a shot, yet it had won a battle greater than any in history. Inside the Vanguard, Ryan stood before the view window, watching the sea of alien vessels drift silently. His reflection glowed faintly from the ship's inner light. "We didn't come here to destroy," he said softly. "We came to remind them." Ayla turned toward him. "Remind them of what?" she asked. Ryan smiled faintly. "That we were never the weak ones." Hours later, the Vanguard left Tarian Prime's orbit. Vanishing again into the void, the disabled fleet slowly recovered, but the damage was done. The galaxy had seen what humanity was capable of. Not destruction, but dominance through understanding. Every world now whispered the same words. They can move through time. They can control energy. They can stop entire fleets without firing. Rumors grew into legends within days. Children were told stories of the Deathworlder ship that could appear anywhere, anytime. Without warning, in the Council's private chamber, the Chancellor stared at the reports in disbelief. "One ship," he muttered. "Just one ship did this." A nervous aide replied, "Yes, Chancellor, and they say it's not their only one." The Chancellor froze. "Not their only one," he repeated softly, his face pale with dread. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the night sky glowed faintly with streaks of light. Families looked up, wondering where their sons and daughters had gone. They didn't know the truth, that humanity had stepped beyond the edge of possibility, that their kind had just changed the galaxy forever. In the darkness of space, the Vanguard drifted silently once more. The artifact within its heart pulsed. As if alive, whispering in frequencies no one could hear, Ryan placed a hand on the console, feeling the hum beneath his skin. "We've only just begun," he said quietly. "The galaxy will soon learn what it means to fear the impossible." And as the ship disappeared again into the folds of space, a trail of light rippled behind it, a wound in reality itself. Proof that the impossible was no longer a dream, but a weapon. The secret deep within the heart of the Vanguard. A low hum echoed through the metal walls. It wasn't just the sound of a reactor, it was something alive, something thinking. The crew didn't speak much about it, but everyone could feel it. A strange rhythm in the air, like the ship itself was breathing. Commander Ryan Holt stood alone in the central chamber, before a sphere of shifting light that pulsed like a heartbeat. It was the artifact they had found beneath the surface of Mars years ago, when humanity still struggled to leave its own solar system. The scientists had never understood it. The material didn't belong to any known element. The energy it emitted couldn't be measured. At first, they thought it was a weapon, then a communication device, but over time, they realized it was something else entirely. It responded when a human touched it, it glowed brighter. When a human spoke near it, the sound echoed back in strange harmonies. It had chosen humanity, or maybe humanity had awakened it. Ayla entered the chamber quietly, her face lit by the soft blue light. "It's changing again," she said, looking at the readings. "Every time we travel, it evolves." Ryan nodded slowly. "It learns," he replied. "It's not just part of the ship anymore. It is the ship." Rumors about the artifact had spread among the crew. Some whispered that it could read thoughts, others believed it was guiding them somewhere. Sometimes in the quiet hours of the night, crew members claimed to hear faint voices coming from the hull. Not mechanical sounds, but words in languages no one knew. The Vanguard had become more than a machine. It was now a living being fused with human will. Human technology could never explain it. Yet the ship obeyed its captain with perfect precision. When Ryan commanded it to jump, it didn't just move through space. It folded reality. Like turning the pages of a book, the galaxy still watched in fear. Every empire tried to study the faint energy traces left by the Vanguard. Every attempt failed. Their probes melted, their computers crashed, and in some cases, the data simply erased itself. It was as if the universe refused to reveal humanity's secret. Inside the ship, Ayla was working in the science bay when she noticed something unusual. "Commander," she called out through the comm, "you need to see this." Ryan arrived moments later. She pointed at a holographic map floating above the table. "These aren't navigation readings. she said softly. They're coordinates, but not to any star system we know. Ryan frowned. Then what are they? She hesitated. They're inside the folds of subspace, places that shouldn't exist. The artifact was showing them paths, shortcuts through time and space, routes that even the oldest civilizations had never discovered. Ryan stared at the glowing points. It's guiding us somewhere, he whispered. But why? As the Vanguard followed the mysterious paths, the stars around them began to blur. The ship entered regions of space untouched for millions of years. Strange nebulae of colors unseen by any living eye. They found ruins drifting in the void, ancient structures carved from stone and light, remnants of a civilization older than history itself. Isla walked among the ruins in her exosuit, the blue glow from her visor reflecting on walls covered in alien symbols. "Commander, look at this," she said through the comms. "These markings match the patterns on the artifact." Ryan looked around slowly, his voice low. "Then we didn't find it on Mars," he said. "It found us, that night as the ship rested in orbit around the dead world." Ryan couldn't sleep. He stood at the viewing window, watching the strange planet below. The artifact pulsed softly behind him, casting waves of light that rippled across the control room. "You brought us here," he whispered. "What are you trying to show us?" A voice echoed in his mind, not through the speakers, not through the comms, but inside his thoughts. It was calm, ancient, and familiar. "You are the inheritors," it said. "You were chosen because you dare to create when others fear." Ryan froze, his heart pounding. "Who are you?" he whispered aloud. "The first," the voice replied. "We built before time had form, but our kind faded you. The children of the death world carry our spark." The light from the artifact grew brighter until the entire chamber glowed. Ayla rushed in, shielding her eyes. "Ryan," she shouted. "What's happening?" He turned toward her slowly, his voice trembling. "It's talking to us." Her eyes widened. "Talking to us." He nodded. "It says we're not the first builders of impossible things." Outside, the Vanguard's engines ignited on their own. The ship began to move, not under manual control, but as if guided by the artifact itself. It jumped again, not through space, but through something deeper. A corridor of light surrounded them, every color of the cosmos flashing past. When the jump ended, they were in a place no map could describe. A sphere of light the size of a moon floated before them, pulsing gently around it. Shattered fragments of ancient ships drifted silently. Ryan stared at it in awe. "It's a memory," he said quietly. "A grave of those who came before." The artifact pulsed once more, and the voice spoke again. "Now it is your turn," it said. "Do not make the same mistake." Ryan felt a chill crawl through him. "What mistake?" he asked. But the light faded and the voice went silent. As the Vanguard turned away from the ruins, heading back toward known space, both Ryan and Ayla knew one thing. Their ship was no longer a creation of man alone. It was the union of two civilizations, one ancient and one fearless, and together they had just awakened something the galaxy was never meant to see. The first challenge, the Vanguard returned to known space like a ghost emerging from a dream. The stars around it bent and shimmered, leaving trails of golden light in its wake. For weeks the galaxy had remained silent, but the silence was not peace, and it was fear. Every empire waited for the humans to act, to demand, to conquer, but humanity said nothing. The Vanguard simply drifted through the dark, its presence enough to shake the strongest fleets. But fear breeds anger, and anger always leads to mistakes. Far beyond the borders of Council space, the Varkon Dominion gathered its warlords. Their pride could not bear the humiliation of being ignored. "The humans humiliate us with their silence," growled High Admiral Kreth, his armor gleaming under the red lights of the war chamber. "They think we fear them, but we are the oldest empire in the stars. We will remind the galaxy who rules," and so they prepared an armada, 2,000 warships armed with quantum lances and gravity cannons, each ship larger than a city, each built to destroy worlds. They named it Operation Dawn, the strike that would shatter humanity's arrogance. When the fleet reached the edge of the Sol system, their sensors picked up the human beacon, a single energy source drifting near the orbit of Neptune. Kreth smiled cruelly. "That must be it," he said. "The Human Warship." But when the fleet arrived, they found nothing, just empty space and silence. Then one by one their lights began to dim. Every sensor flickered, every system failed, and the stars themselves seemed to vanish. Out of the darkness something massive unfolded, black, silent and alive. The Vanguard emerged slowly, its hull absorbing all light, its engines whispering like thunder. "This is Commander Rian Holt of Earth Command," came the calm voice through the comms. "You have entered restricted space. Turn back now." Kreth laughed, his claws tapping on the console. "Restricted to who?" he sneered. "You think one ship can stop us?" Ryan's voice didn't change. "We don't think. We know," Kreth raised his hand. "All ships." Fire, thousands of cannons lit the void. Beams of light brighter than suns streaked across space, exploding against the Vanguard's hull. But instead of damage, the ship absorbed it. The energy waves flowed across its surface like water, bending around it, disappearing into nothing. Inside the Vanguard, alarms blinked, but no one panicked. Isla looked at the readings, her eyes wide. "The artifact is reacting," she said. "It's feeding on their attack." Rian stood still, his voice calm. "Then let them continue." Outside, the Varkon fleet kept firing until their reactors began to overload. Kreth roared in fury. "Keep firing. I want it destroyed." But his words died as the Vanguard began to move, faster than light yet without a jump signature. The human ship disappeared, then reappeared behind his entire fleet. A single pulse of blue light rippled from its core. Silent and slow, it touched every Varkon ship, and in an instant, they stopped. Their engines froze, their weapons powered down, and their hulls began to decay, turning into dust. Kreth stared out his window in horror. "What have they done?" he screamed. His communications officer whispered, "They unmade us." The Vanguard floated silently through the fading debris, its hull glowing faintly, not with pride but with quiet sorrow. Inside, Ayla whispered, "So much death, all for pride." Ryan closed his eyes. "We warned them." The rest of the galaxy watched the transmission in silence. The Varkon Dominion, once one of the oldest empires, was gone within a single hour. No explosions, no survivors, just empty dust fields and silent echoes. On the Council homeworld, panic returned. Some demanded war, others demanded peace, but none dared to act. For the first time in recorded history, the galaxy realized that humanity didn't need armies, didn't need numbers, they only needed one ship, and the will to use it. Meanwhile, deep inside the Vanguard, the artifact pulsed again, stronger than ever. Ayla watched as strange symbols appeared on the screens. "It's unlocking something," she said. "I think the ship is trying to communicate with us again." Ryan approached slowly. "Let it speak," he said. The ship's lights dimmed, and the same calm voice that had once spoken in his mind returned. "You have shown them mercy," it said. "But mercy is a burden, others will come. Greater than these." Rian clenched his fists. "Then we'll be ready." The voice grew softer. "No, Commander Holt, not with weapons, with truth." Before he could respond, the lights returned and the ship fell silent once more. That night, Rian stood at the viewing deck, staring at the stars. He remembered his father's words when humanity first reached the moon. Every great discovery will make someone afraid. Now he understood. Humanity hadn't just built a ship, they had built a mirror, forcing the galaxy to see its own weakness. Ayla joined him quietly. "Do you think they'll ever stop fearing us?" she asked. Ryan shook his head. "No," he said softly. "But maybe one day they'll start understanding us." The Vanguard turned slowly toward the edge of the galaxy, its engines humming low. The stars reflected across its surface like fireflies on glass. As it vanished into the dark, its final transmission whispered across the void, "We are not your enemy, but we will never kneel." And in every corner of the galaxy, from the grandest empires to the smallest colonies, that message echoed. The humans had faced their first challenge, and the galaxy learned a lesson it would never forget. You can fight humans, but you can never outlast them. The truth revealed. The destruction of the Varkon fleet sent a shockwave across the galaxy. News of the event reached every corner, spreading faster than light itself. Entire worlds whispered the same words in fear. The humans have done the impossible. The Council called it a massacre, the colonies called it a warning, and the survivors called it divine judgment, whatever it was. The message was clear. Humanity could not be challenged. But inside the Vanguard there was no celebration. The crew was silent, their faces pale. They had seen entire armadas vanish into dust, and even though they had survived, they carried the weight of it. Isla walked through the halls quietly, her reflection glimmering against the metallic walls. The ship felt heavier than before, as if it too mourned the loss of life. Commander Rian Holt stood before the viewing window of the command deck, staring at the endless stars. His reflection showed tired eyes and a heavy heart. "We warned them," he whispered. "We didn't want this." Ayla stepped beside him, her voice soft. "And yet, it happened." He nodded slowly. "Yes," he said. "And now, they'll never stop watching us." Back in the Galactic Council chamber, panic had turned to confusion. Endless debates echoed through the marble halls of the core planet. "We must contain them," shouted one ambassador. "They have broken every natural law. They cannot be allowed to exist unchecked." Others disagreed. "Contain them? How?" One elder asked coldly. "They erased an empire with a whisper. You think walls or weapons can stop that?" A silence fell over the chamber until the Chancellor spoke. "Then we must understand them," he said. "Fear is useless without knowledge." Across the stars, spy fleets began their work. Hundreds of probes tried to scan Earth's borders. Hundreds vanished without trace. Some ships simply lost their way and reappeared months later with no memory of where they had been. The Vanguard had become a ghost, a moving legend no one could track. Inside the ship's core chamber, the artifact pulsed brighter than ever. Strange waves of light filled the air like mist. Ayla studied the readings carefully. "It's communicating again," she said. "But it's different this time." Ryan stepped closer. "Different how?" "It's transmitting outward," she said softly. "Not to us, to the galaxy." Moments later, across hundreds of systems, strange signals appeared. Invisible to most sensors but felt by every living being. A deep hum in their minds. A vibration that made even the strongest warriors pause. The artifact was sending a message not of threat, but of truth. Then, one by one, the great screens of the Council's hall flickered to life. The image of Commander Ryan Holt appeared before them, calm and composed. Behind him, the silent glow of the Vanguard filled the frame. "This is Commander Holt of Earth Command," his voice echoed. "You fear us, you misunderstand us, but you should listen." The chamber fell silent. Not one dared to interrupt. "You believe we built this ship to conquer," Ryan continued. "You're wrong. We built it because we had to, because we come from a world that never forgives weakness. We fought our own storms, our own wars, and our own extinction. We built this not to rule, but to survive." Across 1,000 worlds, beings of every kind listened. Soldiers paused in battle. Miners stopped their drills. Even children looked up at the skies. Ryan's voice continued, strong but filled with pain. "You call us Deathworlders," he said, "and you're right. But we are not monsters. We learn to live with the impossible. We learn to turn fear into progress, and that is something no empire can take from us." Ayla stood beside him as the broadcast continued, her heart heavy. "You think they'll believe us?" she whispered. Ryan looked at her. "No," he said quietly. "But maybe they'll remember." Back on the Council world, the chamber was filled with silence. No one spoke for several minutes. The Chancellor finally said, "He's not lying." One of the generals hissed, "Then what are we supposed to do?" The Chancellor leaned forward slowly, his voice calm. "Adapt." As days passed, small changes began across the galaxy. Fleets stopped mobilizing, spy ships were recalled, and strange reports emerged. Human envoys visiting alien worlds offering help, repairing colonies destroyed by pirates, delivering medical technology that no one had seen before. For every world that feared humanity, another began to see them differently. The Vanguard became a symbol, not of terror but of truth, a legend whispered in the dark, reminding everyone that the impossible was only impossible until someone dared to try. Still, not everyone believed. in the shadow of the dying nebula known as Crixa's Veil. Hidden sensors recorded a secret meeting between the remaining Varkon warlords and other alien empires. "The humans cannot be trusted," said one. "They speak peace but carry a weapon that can unmake reality." Another hissed. "They call it peace because they already won." And so a new alliance began to form, silent and hateful, preparing for revenge. Meanwhile, aboard the Vanguard, the artifact pulsed again, this time slower, almost calm, as if watching, waiting. Ryan looked at it one last time before leaving the chamber. "You wanted us to show them the truth," he said softly. "We did. But truth never ends a war. It only changes its shape." Ayla watched the stars outside, the endless ocean of darkness glowing faintly with distant light. "They'll come again," she said. Rian nodded, his eyes cold but calm. "Then they'll find that humanity's strength isn't in the ship," he said. "It's in what built it." The Vanguard turned slowly toward the unknown, its engines humming like a distant storm. The galaxy had heard the truth, but the real storm was yet to come. The legacy of the Vanguard years passed since the day humanity revealed its truth to the galaxy, but the echo of that message still lingered among the stars. The Vanguard had vanished once again, leaving behind no trace, no signal, only stories. Some called it a ghost ship, others said it had ascended into another realm of existence. But everyone remembered its name. The galaxy was no longer the same. Empires that once ruled through fear began to question their strength. Old enemies made uneasy peace, and for the first time in millennia, entire systems worked together, not because of diplomacy, but because of fear and respect for the Deathworlders. On distant worlds, alien children grew up hearing the same bedtime tales about the Black Terran ship that bent reality and spoke truth instead of war. They whispered the same phrase with wonder. "Remember the Vanguard." Back on Earth, the world had changed too. Humanity had become something greater. The Terran Federation now spanned dozens of systems, not through conquest, but cooperation. They shared knowledge freely, but guarded their deepest secret, the technology behind the Vanguard. Even among humans, few knew what truly powered it. Some believed it was alien technology. Others said it was the pure will of mankind turned into energy. But only Commander Ryan Holt and Dr. Ayla Chen knew the truth, that the ship's heart was alive, ancient and watching. Ryan had aged since those early days, his hair now silver, his eyes still sharp. He stood once more before the artifact deep inside the ship's core. The Vanguard had remained hidden for decades, orbiting a quiet blue star far beyond known space, waiting. "You've been silent for years," Ryan said softly, placing his hand on the glowing sphere. "Why did you bring us this far?" The artifact pulsed gently, a soft hum filling the chamber, and the same calm voice returned. "Because you were ready," it said. "We built the stars, we shaped time, but we fell when we stopped believing in creation. You did not. You still dream." Ryan felt the weight of its words. "You chose us because we never stopped fighting," he said. "No," the voice replied, "because you never stopped hoping." Ayla entered the chamber quietly, her expression calm yet filled with awe. "It's speaking again," she whispered. "After all these years," Ryan smiled faintly. "It never stopped. We just stopped listening." The artifact began to glow brighter, casting light across the entire chamber. Its pulse synced with the heartbeat of the ship. "You are no longer students," the voice said. "You are the keepers now. Protect this galaxy from repeating our fall." And then, for the first time, Ryan asked a question he had carried for decades. "What destroyed your kind?" The voice paused, then spoke softly. "We forgot what it meant to feel small. We became gods and forgot to be alive." Silence filled the room. Only the soft hum of the reactor echoed through the air. Ryan looked toward the stars on the viewing screen, endless and bright. "Then maybe that's why we were chosen," he said. "Because no matter how far we go, we still look up in wonder." Outside, the Vanguard began to move again, slow and graceful. Its engines shimmered with light, not blue or gold, but pure white. The stars around it reflected against its hull like rivers of light flowing across black glass. Across the galaxy, ships and colonies detected a faint pulse, not a warning, but a farewell. The Vanguard was leaving. Not for battle, not for conquest, but for destiny on the Council homeworld. The Chancellor stood on the balcony, watching the faint streak of light pass across the sky. "They're leaving," his advisor said. The Chancellor nodded. "No," he whispered. "They're ascending." As the Vanguard reached the edge of known space, Ryan stood at the command deck beside Ayla. "Do you think they'll ever understand us?" she asked. He smiled. "Maybe not today," he said. "But someday when they stop fearing the impossible, they'll walk beside us." The artifact pulsed one final time, brighter than ever, and the voice whispered its last words. "Guard the spark, never let it fade." The stars stretched into lines, and the Vanguard vanished beyond the edge of the galaxy, leaving only silence behind. But legends never die. Centuries later, explorers from distant worlds would find fragments of human beacons, each carrying the same message. We were here, we dared, we endured, and somewhere in the farthest reaches of the universe, beyond maps and memory, a single black ship drifted peacefully among the stars, watching, waiting. Its light pulsed like a heartbeat, a reminder that even in the endless dark, there was one truth that could never be erased. The impossible exists because humanity made it so.